I'm working on the floor. This is going into the bathroom. As you see, they cut out the floor for doing the furnace. Issue is they cut through the joists to try to fit this in here, and then tried restructuring the floor. It's kind of comical, really. So, where to start with the issues? I guess the first issue is, well, this might seem a little dusty or dirty to you. This is actually really clean now. This was completely encased with sawdust and wood chips from when they cut this out, or doing other construction, and this was left open. So yeah, a fire hazard, you know, sitting right on top of a furnace. And then they never supported anything quite right. They have this wall in here. And you can see that hard line. That's actually the gas line. That gas line was actually getting pinched in between there. And while it still looks like it might be pinched, I actually did relieve the pressure off of it. Trying to get in here so you can see this. Kind of make out that jacking post I put in there. So that's actually taking the pressure off and supporting the floor like it should have been. Now there should actually be a jacking post somewhere in this corner because it's low. I'd have to tear into walls and try to figure out a way to support everything. It's just, this house, I mean, it's old. It wasn't built right to begin with. Anyways, this is what we got. So now I'm going to restructure this. Now that I got this floor supported. Another thing. I don't know what the camera's picking up or not picking up. So there is a gap. You can stick this nail under there. So I have tongue and groove board with the hardwood on top. And that's 3/4 inch tongue and groove with 3/4 inch hardwood. That is your support. That's your baseboard. And this little chunk of 2x4, they didn't even run a full stringer across, is not even touching it or supporting it. So as you step on this, right, the floor buckles down and moves. So I need to replace all this and properly support that to remove any of the flexing. Because obviously I'm trying to keep any movement from going into the bathroom. There is uncoupling membrane in there. However, it still could cause me to have issues. As for the rest of this, yeah, same thing all around the edges. Now, in here, so there is part of the joist. Here's the other side. They actually notched into it and cut all the way across, which didn't really have to do because there's no reason for it. I guess they figured they needed a bigger hole than what they needed. So, you know, I got like a 2x8 in there that's maybe a 1/2 inch thick. That's supposed to be supporting any load and not cracking on me. So it'll be a full piece along this side, all around the edges. And then instead of going lengthways or parallel with the hardwood, I'm going to go across widthwise, so I don't have this going on in the floor. So they even did this wrong. I should have built it the other way. And yeah, that is the 4 pieces they put in there. I'm using that as a wall to keep the cat out from falling down in here, because he will. Anyways, I gotta peel this out. At least they used Ardox nails. These are these spiraled nails. Which is funny that they used it for this, but they used common nails for every single other part of the house. Except for this. Oh, and you notice the concrete on these 2x4s? Yeah, this was a form they cut up and reused. You'll actually see that a lot in old construction, probably new construction too, with builders trying to save money. I mean, if you're in a pinch, but if you're building a house and you want a good reputation, don't reuse forms. I don't care of the excuse that you want to come up with. Just use all new, good, straight wood. Yeah, so now I'm gonna... I started to try to pull some nails. I think I'm just gonna take the saw to it, cut it up, yank it out. Might stick a blanket or something underneath it to catch all the sawdust so I don't make a big mess. And I don't plug up my furnace with combustibles, because nobody needs that. So let's get going on this, and you can tell my enthusiasm. And yeah, even after I restructure this, I am going to do 2 layers, 3/4 inch plywood to build this up. So I got, because they just stepped this up, and some nails to, we're gonna have full thickness 1.5 inch of plywood in there, and we are gonna do it right. This is low here. If we go from, you can't see it, but the 1/2 inch plywood that I've had to, because my kitchen and other rooms have 1/2 inch particle board with linoleum on it. There's no point in trying to rip all that out or to try to save this hardwood floor. So I'm leveling everything out with 1/2 inch plywood, and then I'm going with new, what is it, 5/8 laminate over everything. It's going to look really nice. But from this 1/2 inch to this 1/2 inch, it's a 1/2 inch low, because we go up to the top of the floor of my bathroom, and that is level. So it's going to be a little low. I'm going to try to, I don't know if I'll use, I might use leveling cement in areas to try to level everything out. Goes low, high. Over into my office, it's low. My bedroom, it's a little low on one side, so I don't know how extensive I'm going to go, because I've been living with this, and this is, I'm used to the floors being a little off level. I don't notice it as much. I know I've, in the past, looking at houses to buy, old houses, you go in there and it's like a roller coaster ride. You even start to getting a little seasick or something, because it's so the floors are so far off. But this place is not that bad, but I do have some leveling issues. So I'm going to take care of that as best I can. But right now I'm just trying to restructure this floor. I needed to get it all supported and done before I do the tile, because I don't want to do all this and flex or do anything to the floor and crack the tile. So as well, I forgot. So that's the furnace duct. There's a big gaping hole in it. Now I'm pretty sure that's the return air, but in my 3 rooms that I have right here, office, bedroom, living room, they all have registers in the floor for return air. Clearly, this was something they measured wrong and cut out, but they didn't fill it. So I do have a piece of this galvanized steel that I'm going to cut and stick in there to seal it up, because we don't need to be sucking all the crap and dirt from inside the house here to... I don't need my ducts any dirtier than they already are. Yeah, it's filthy in there. I think after all this I'm going to have a duct cleaner come in and clean everything. There, I got something underneath it. Now when I cut into it, majority of all the dust and wood chips will be caught, and I'll be able just to vacuum it up, clean it up after. As you can see, all the stuff that it caught, you just vacuum that up. You can see how this is just ripping out. Cut it, yank on it. She all comes out. It's going pretty fast. And a little bit of advice is just to clean up as you're going along. You don't want to just leave the big mess as you're tearing it out, and then right at the end, as you're ripping the last board out, hit and move, blanket, whatever you have underneath, and then it all falls down to where you don't want it to. So just clean up as you go along. All cleaned up. Let's see what we got underneath of this. Here we go. Few little areas around the edges. I'll just vacuum that up. All in all, it's pretty clean. Go around. I already knocked in some of these nails. I'll pound them in some more. And I will throw a screw or two here or there just to try to support it and hold it tight. A lot of these old houses use just a common nail, which is a straight nail. It doesn't have that twist to it like a screw. So with the settling and movement of the house, it just pulls loose. And so you get all that squeaking and movement, and so you want to pull it tight. Now, if you live in an area, say earthquake area, the nails are stronger because you have not as brittle. You have some movement and bend to it, whereas the screw will just break. And then your house falls apart in the earthquake. So in areas like that, the code requires nails. However, I think a mixture of screws and nails in that area, in that situation, is best. You get the best of both worlds. It's nice and clean. Have you ever noticed these shapes that you find in your ductwork? You wonder what this is? This is for structural rigidity. Because there's a difference. They put it there in areas so you don't get that oil can effect. So all your ductwork, everything's quiet and silent in your house as much as it can be. If you didn't, you get a lot of droning and banging and vibration from the furnace going through everything, and very, very noisy in your house. Just got one board cut so far, but as I'm looking, you can see this nice giant gap from the floor to that cross joist that they put in. It is on both sides. We put the wood and we want to come right up tight against this edge to support this floor. Well, there we finally go. We're all done framing it off. We have the support. This is the wall below. Got a short little stud going to the floor. This I had to tap into place. This is not a loose fit. So this floor now is fully supported through that wall. There shouldn't be any flex or movement in there. And got this piece in, just the covering it. It's actually about a foot by a foot in there, so it's filling up a good chunk of that hole that doesn't need to be there. And the rest of this is pretty tight. We don't have that ginormous gap there anymore. Just use a scrap piece of wood, screw it below it, pry bar, pry it up into place, screw it. So we got this giant hole structured in. Seems pretty sturdy. I gotta throw some screws around in the hardwood to pull it down. I do that anyways before laying down the 1/2-inch plywood to remove any movement in there and any noise, because we don't want to be hearing that. Okay, everything is screwed down and in place. Perimeter's all screwed down, and no more squeaking. No movement whatsoever. This is so much more solid than what it was. Night and day difference. Going from walking under marshmallow to, well, not quite concrete, but pretty close. No movement. So that's going to be good for my bathroom floor. No movement. So hopefully no cracking. There we go. Giant gaping hole fixed.